Minnesota has an abundance of talented musicians. Welcome to A Taste of Talent on the Road, where we will chat with Minnesota musicians of any genre, talking about their story and their music, shining a light on diversity in local music. I am your host, Jacob Woody. Let's find out what is vibing in the hearts and souls of Minnesota music. This is A Taste of Talent on the Road. Hey everybody, I'm Jacob Woody, and you are tuned in to A Taste of Talent on the Road. I have been looking forward to this one for so long. I'm here with my good friend, Chris Koza. Chris, how are you doing? So good. Thank you for doing this, by the way.
Mr. Woody,
yes.
Pleasure to see you again.
It very much is. You can jump into your first song whenever you're ready.
Okay. This is a newer song from me called Border Town. There's a little town south, just over the southern border, and everyone who finds it says, well, it took me so long to get here. Breaking down along the coast in an old Westphalia, they were built to fall apart, but with such style. That night we built a fire out in the sand. Would have bet my life by now we'd be back again. It was always right there in front of me. It was always right there in front of me. Someone said to me, what is it that makes you wonder? Why not settle down instead? Maybe you'll feel better. But I'm a stubborn kind with nothing to my name. I own all my mistakes. Some things will never change. It was always right there in front of me. It was always right there in front of me. Yeah. When the sun goes down and the music is quiet and closer, every direction that I spin, I feel the same thing. It was always right there in front of me. It was always right there in front of me. It was always right there in front of me.
Chris, man, it's been, about maybe 4 years since we've last spoken in person? Something like that. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
how the heck have you been?
I've been really great.
Yeah?
Been keeping very busy these last couple of summers, especially when people have been able to be outside and outdoors. And I've been making music in parks and driveways and neighborhoods and backyards and at like breweries and some festivals and stuff. It's been a busy time. Love
it. That's so good. And I've always since the minute I met you, I've been kind of a fan of you, and it's just been I've been looking forward to this for a long time. We can finally sit down and do this. And kind of a reason why this whole thing's happening is you may remember that concert I always used to put on called Taste of Talent.
Yeah, every April.
Every April. But then, of course, as we know, COVID hit, so we couldn't do it. So I kind of changed it into this. And I just really appreciate you doing it and taking the time for us. It's an honor for me. So
well, it's really fun because we got to meet all those years back because of the Minnesota State Arts Board Arts on Tour grant up in Detroit Lakes.
Right.
Yeah. And you were one of the special guests on the show that we performed. So we got to spend a little time together and just talk about music and songwriting. And I'm just thrilled that you've continued your journey. It's been really fun to watch.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, what do you say, Chris? Let's just go all the way back. And what gave you your love for music then? Yeah,
At the very beginning?
Very beginning.
Like back when I couldn't even walk, kind of thing?
Well, I mean, if that's when it started.
The memory that I have that sticks out the most is my kindergarten teacher playing the entertainer on the piano in class one day, and me just feeling hypnotized, spellbound.
Yeah.
It was like a superpower, and in some ways I think it still is. You know, when I see musicians, when I'm just floored when I watch them play. You know, the fluidity is like a bird in flight or a dolphin in the waves, and you're like, wow, I wish I could do that. And music still holds that kind of power for me.
I think I remember because I've interviewed before, and did you say piano was your first instrument?
Piano.
Right? Yeah.
Piano and singing.
Piano and singing, sure. Mm-hmm. And taking lessons and all of those. Who started teaching the piano then?
My parents found a piano teacher. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and so it was this. Her name was Ruth Sundling, and she taught a lot of people piano, a lot of young kids, and so I learned with her the Suzuki method and sight reading and ear training. I was always a lot better at ear training than sight reading, though.
Oh,
some of it may have had to do with she had 9 cats, and I was allergic to cats, and I'd go over there for my lessons, and I had my parents would feed me Sudafed before I go in there, and so I'd get really like drowsy, and I felt like I was in kind of a quasi dream state. But she was a committed teacher, and I was a good enough student to take lessons from her for about 6 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then as time goes on, I'm guessing, guitar comes along.
Yeah.
Did you learn that back then too? Like how far?
So I took piano lessons through 8th grade, and then when I was in high school, I started guitar lessons.
Okay.
It took about almost a year of guitar lessons from a friend of the family. His name is Reese Schrock, and he was in local bands and had a recording studio in his basement, and I just thought it was the most awesome thing ever. And
right.
And he was really encouraging and helping me to understand kind of the fundamentals of what I would need as a performer. Like, just make sure that you get your chord shapes down. You learn, you learn how to do this. He wasn't a academic sort of teacher. He was like I've lived it sort of teacher. And for me, it was the right thing, what I needed at the time.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm guessing those are also your big influences to get you where you are today. How about stardom? How about your favorite artists? Who are those? I'm sure there's a lot of them.
My favorite artists? Well, I mean, man, there's so many. There's new ones. A star is born every day.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's hard to keep up with everyone. Right. But some of the artists that I appreciate, Lady Gaga, I think she's amazing. Okay. Sturgill Simpson is amazing. Yo-Yo Ma. Like every genre has these phenomenal musicians and composers and artists that I think can really help to showcase just how big music can be.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And
I like Harry Styles. That guy's pretty great.
So then what gave you your move to Minnesota? Because as you mentioned, was it born and raised in Portland?
Mm-hmm.
So why Minnesota? Because I'm kind of in your boat. I was born in the Dalles in Oregon.
Oh yeah,
and
that's right.
But my reason's family that we got drug out here. But what was your reason? Don't mind me asking.
It was school. I went to St. Olaf College.
Oh, okay, sure. St. Olaf. Oh, okay.
Down in Northfield.
Yeah. For music or?
Well, I went there to study music and business, and I realized quickly that the kind of music and the kind of business that was specialized in at St. Olaf was not what I was looking for.
Okay.
It's an amazing school.
Right.
I mean, super bright students and committed and intelligent instructors and professors. But I wanted to make singer-songwriter music and pop music, and there's all these like incredible virtuosos there, and classical composers. And at the time, I was a little bit fast and young, and didn't see the value in that as much for me.
Okay.
Of course, years after I graduated, I was like, I really should have stuck with that and got the music major. But instead, I studied studio art and philosophy, oil painting, and
cool.
And that was a eye-opening for me too, because it gave me more subject matter to draw from in my lyrics writing, and just the way that I could see the world and perceive situations, and the great conversations that you have on a college campus. It's unrivaled, really.
Right.
So I ended up getting a major both in studio art and philosophy, and then I studied music, and then I had a college band and worked on songs while I was there.
Cool. Wow.
Stayed very busy.
Yeah, I bet. And I'm sure with the connections and professors help you along the way, helps you change your Well, yeah, you just have perspective on stuff, which I'm kind of going through that now. I got one more year of college to go, and then I'll have a teaching degree in the state of Minnesota for music.
Fantastic, yeah.
Not here to blow my own horn, but
well, you got a microphone, you might as well.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, can we have another tune?
Yeah, I'd love that. This is a song. I'm gonna just hook up my harmonica here real quick. So this is a song that I wrote. Well, actually, no, I will do a different song. So that first album that I had, this is a tune from there. And after I wrote the song, I'm like, that's it. That's the kind of music I think I want to do.
Yeah.
At least for right now.
Right. Yeah.
This is called Winning the Lottery. Test a lot of waters before finding the shore. I wanna make sure that I know what I'm going there for, and get a lot before getting anything in return. Your love's a strict principle. I've got a whole lot to learn. Sweet thorn in my side, stay right where you are, bleeding me dry. I'm taking what's yours and making it mine to say. Somewhere out of time, you know things can't get much better till they get much worse. Some people call this a life, some people call this a curse. Some people stock the shelf with lies and closets with skeletons. But we're all made of bones, yeah, we're all wearing skin. Sweet thorn in my side, stay right where you are, bleeding me dry. I'm taking what's yours and making it mine to say. Yes, somewhere out of time. Oh, la da 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 da. La da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da da no. You can't collect every old stone that's been cast. Some hearts are made out of walls, some hearts are made out of glass. Put your hand into the fire once more if you must. I said burn it to ashes and burn it to dust. Sweet thorn in my side, stay right where you are, bleeding me dry. I'm taking what's yours and making it mine. Sweet thorn in my side, stay right where you are, dry. I'm taking what's yours and making it mine to say. Yes, somewhere out of time. La da da da.
And you mentioned you were working on your first album. What album are you on now?
Oh, maybe 16th or 17th or something. Yeah.
Wow, dang. And I'm sure it kind of gets easier as it goes, but back when you were getting started and stuff, how did that work out? Because I'm sure it was kind of difficult just getting your name out there in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then now you're at the point where people are asking you to do stuff instead of you reaching out to them. I'm sure that's a good feeling. All that hard work's kind of paying off that way. So how's it like in the beginning of things?
Well, I mean, it definitely goes both ways. You can't get lazy. You still gotta meet people. Still gotta reach out. You can't like go back to the well too much.
Right.
But starting off, it was just a lot of going out to see shows, meeting other musicians. Working on my music in my free time. and trying to improve, sending music to radio stations, trying to set up interviews at radio stations, any way that I could meet somebody that had a little bit of a means to push my music out further than I could on my own is what I would do. And I just feel very lucky. I met some great people. I met some people that liked my music, and they were in a position where they could play it on radio stations. Back when The Current first started off, they really grabbed a hold of that album, Exit Pesh, and we're super thrilled to make me, so many great local musicians around here. But I had a new album. It was just at the right time, so they were like, let's put Koza's music in. We'll play it a few times a week. And so that song, Winning the Lottery, I heard it on the radio, just a couple weeks after I sent it to them. One morning at 6:30, I was at the coffee shop working, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's on the radio. And it was a big deal. It still is a big deal. Whenever I hear the music on, Radio K or The Current or all the other KFAI, your station,
Nishi Radio.
You play my music sometimes too, all across the state. There's all kinds of community radio stations and DJs who really help to promote music on a grassroots level, and it makes a huge difference.
It does. It truly does. And that's kind of the cool thing. And then setting up the connections that will just help further and further, like you mentioned. That's just how it is. And I'm guessing also since then your songwriting has been improving as well as what wouldn't, for all those years.
You just keep doing it,
Right, exactly. And something I've loved about this show is to get to know other people's way of how they write their music. So what's your method to do it? Because every time I hear one of your tunes, there's always amazing imagery in it and a lot of contrasting things that just makes it a great tune.
Thank you.
So what's kind of your method for it?
Well, I mean, there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's. There's no wrong way to write a song. You just got to start somewhere.
Right.
And sometimes you wait for lightning to strike and it strikes, and sometimes you're waiting for it to strike and it doesn't. So you need to create your own lightning.
Yeah.
And one thing that I like to do is just set up a couple mics like this, and put on some headphones and set some reverbs and just turn the studio lights down low and just like go through and strum through some feelings, strum through some ideas, and then see what happens. And I'll do that, maybe for a couple nights, and then I'll spend the rest of the week and going back and through those ideas and just see if anything pops out. And if something pops out, then I sit with it and try to work on it a little bit more. So I like coming up with music from a physical place, from making it. I also like writing music when I don't have any instruments at all. When I'm, if I'm going for a run, I'm going for a drive, and I just start thinking about like what is the soundtrack to right now. And so I'll just try to try to listen and see and sense what the world is already offering.
Yeah. Okay. Really, just taking things in and just seeing how it works. I like that.
Of course, listening to other music and other artists is so inspirational. The masters that do it so well that where like you hear, all those artists we were talking about before. Like you hear a David Bowie song, you're like, whoa! Like the production on this, that everything is just so. It's just so free sounding, this it's just all there. Yeah. And so hearing that and feeling that and trying to incorporate that energy into stuff that I work on is what I want to try and do.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. I mean, and then you get when you get your lightning in a bottle, it is great. And then it brings the success more. And
how about you? How do you write your songs?
Oh boy. Well, that has to be a lot of emotion to happen. And I've realized now that I'm planning out for songs to do on the next album is like, I have too many heartbreak tunes. Oh. This is ridiculous. But that's how it goes. But then I'm weird though, because I'll do it. Well, maybe not weird, but with the music as well as plan out. Well, that would kind of work with this, and then analyze both at the same time. But yeah, there has to be a lot of emotion to do it, And I think that songwriting is a weird thing because it's personally, I don't think it's one of those where next Wednesday I'm going to write a tune about this such and such, and then. But for me, that doesn't work. It may for some, but just not for me. I have to be inspired for it, and then go for it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's no wrong way.
Right. Yeah.
I find that I need to develop that other way of approaching songwriting though too. Is like on Wednesday I need to write a song about these things, and you just show up, and even if it's terrible, you do it, and then. It's funny because like after a couple months go by, I find if I approach writing from that perspective, or if I approach it from trying to write from a place of like more authentic inspiration, at the end of a couple months, I listen to all the songs or consider them, and I'm like, I don't hear a big difference between the soul of any of these compositions.
Okay. Huh.
It's like dress for the job that you want.
Oh.
If you're feeling like lousy, like turn that frown upside down, like like. I don't know. There's some merit to that. Like, yeah, I think so.
True. Wow. Yeah, everyone has their own. Well, do you also have a big booklet of songs because I'm sure you've started way more than you finished.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few that I just I get through a draft or draft and a half, and I'm like, I don't love it, or get to a demo and I just never end up putting it on an album. It just doesn't quite have the same. I don't know. Just doesn't do it right. No, yeah. But it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that, it's not the right song for the time. I have songs I've written that I finally, like after 10 years, I'll put that on an album because I'm like, I know how this song, how to finish it now, or like that verse always bothered me, or the melody needed a little pick-me-up or something.
Right, okay.
More variety.
Cool. And I don't mean to go way far back. But,
we already went back to when I was like just out of the womb, basically. Yeah. I don't know how much. I don't want to go further back than that.
That's true. I won't make you do that. But maybe just a little bit talk about Wolves and the Ravens.
Oh, sure.
Because I know that was kind of a big moment for you in Rogue Valley anyway. Because I forget what movie it was in now.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
That's it. Yeah.
The Ben Stiller version.
Towards the end, was it? Yeah. So what was, how did that feel? How did that come about? To get into the movie and all of that, what happened
when music ends up in movies, it's kind of a convoluted process. It can be as simple as the director heard the song and they wanted it in there, or as complicated as a music supervisor is searching through libraries of thousands of songs. And so how Wolves and the Ravens got into the film, I don't know if I'll ever know the exact path that it took.
Oh, okay.
But I know that it was an important template for the overall attitude of the music for the rest of the songs of the film, and it was great, a great honor to have it in there, and really fun to see it on screen in a theater, and just a little nerve-wracking because it didn't happen till the end of the movie, and I was worried, did it really get in here?
Oh yeah, did it get cut or
did it get cut? Yeah. But it was beautiful.
I'm sure
to see that, and that's every musician's dream. I would think includes having music in TV, having it in movies, just having your music be a part of a bigger vision is really cool.
Yeah, well, let's have the music be part of this vision. Let's have another tune.
The segues.
Yeah, been pretty good at them recently.
Well, I'm gonna do a new tune then. I'm gonna use an
exclusive.
An exclusive, Woody.
Oh. I love this. Yes.
A special one for Jacob Woody's show.
Yes. How many harmonicas do you have?
Well, I got too many. This is the worst part of my show is when I'm staring down at my harmonicas trying to figure out which key I need.
I had that same old dream, where I walk in endless hallway of doors. Well, they're all locked and this one key that I have of yours I try, but nothing turns. Somehow I find myself at the end, where a window looks out over the bay. A roll of film misplaced, a lost holiday. Picture lose the way back. I just needed to surrender and find a new path. Make a new home. His own van isn't much, but it runs and gets us to the next town. And when the lights go down, it's almost as if the crowd wasn't there to settle your doubts. Go to gray skies, North Star in the night. I didn't lose the way back, I just needed to surrender and find a new path. Make a new home. Stop looking back. Start moving forward. What if behind every door could be a beautiful expanse, and diving in is harder, never touching the water. I'll close my eyes and watch the sunlight dance.
You're tuned in to A Taste of Talent on the Road, Season 2. I'm Jacob Bodie. I'm sitting here with Chris Koza. And again, I'm fully honored for this. And we're in your studio, which This is a really cool room. I like this. I finally got the chance to come down to you instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
And how many hours you must spend in this room is probably, I don't know, is it double or triple digit or of hours?
It's plenty. You know, I try to get my money's worth.
Oh, I'm sure. Wow, yeah.
But it's cool. It's a cool spot. I share it with a drummer. His name is Richard Maddock, who
Okay.
he plays with a ton of people, some of whom you've seen, I'm sure, or maybe even interviewed.
Maybe.
Mary Bew, Molly Mayer, Eric Koskinen, the Dollies, just to name a few. But he's all over the place.
Wow, that's cool. And what kind of, is this the place you've recorded almost all the albums, or is this just a new place now? Or
I've been in here since 2018.
18? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
So Sleepwalkers Part 1, there was a piano in here at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tracked all the piano on there and did a lot of the tracking for that
Okay.
here. And then Sleepwalkers Part 2, I did some stuff here. And I had an instrumental album called On Horseshoe Lake that came out
Yes.
in 2021. And I did a lot of that here as well. And the New Rogue Valley album, I've been doing some stuff here.
Cool,
You know, some
okay.
vocals and overdubs. And
Nice. I actually wouldn't mind talking about Horseshoe Lake a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I do like the title track of that album, the Horseshoe Lake one.
yeah, you sent
And
me a vocal.
I did. I was going
Yeah, Jacob, you ended up on the tune.
I'm on a Chris
That's great.
Koza album.
You made the cut.
I made the cut. Look at that. I appreciate that because it's cool to have that sense of like community in that tune. And you got that the bonfire aspect thing perfectly.
Thank you.
It was just it was a lot of fun, and I was happy to get the email for the option to do it too. So yeah, I don't know. So was that kind of what made that idea come along? Was it like, I just want to get as many musicians together on this as possible, just have some fun with it, or was there more of an in-depth reasoning?
Well, I mean, that's first and foremost. That was definitely a big motivator.
Sure.
It was the spirit of the part was to have a bonfire kind of song.
Yeah.
sing along, but it was, in the early times of lockdown and, stay at home living, which, different people in different places encounter that with different mentalities.
Wow.
But most of the people that I was hanging with, they couldn't come to a studio. They didn't want to come to a studio. We weren't ready to do that. So the option was like, hey, well, let's create a little bit of community around this song, but people can record it themselves. They don't have to have like a professional setup. They can just record on their iPhone. As long as they get a clean take, I can, and we get enough tracks, we can blend it in, and it's going to sound like everyone's around that campfire at a time when we can't really be around that campfire together. So that was the spirit behind it.
Love it. Yeah. How many people did you get? Do you know the total that you had on
I think there was like 45 to 50 people that sent me their tracks.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Dang. Well, I will say that I'm even more honored to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I've said this, multiple times, but I do, and you may not like this, but I want to say it. I do owe a lot to you and in the Rogue Valley guys, because that was kind of the big pinnacle moment in the climax of just to change everything in my life.
Wow.
So I really appreciate that the whole time you spent at my high school and then at the Holmes Theater and all of that, because that was just a hallmark time. So I really appreciate it.
Well, it was a joy for us, and it's definitely like, I love like, when you email me once in a while, or like I follow you along on Instagram and Facebook. I'm like, yes, Jacob is still out there rocking it and growing, and you're creating community through what you do, and I think that's a beautiful part.
I appreciate it. Yeah, because I remember our band director saying, well, there's this band going to come out, and they had a hit with Wolves and the Ravens, if you guys heard that tune, and they're going to play for us and then play for the whole school and everything. And at the major performance with the student body, after we had a little meeting and stuff, when you had the part of the concert where you're like, any questions from the audience? I don't know. I felt this hand go up immediately. I don't know what the issue was, but I just felt it go up. It was my hand that went up. I was like, yeah, how do you get gigs? Because I was thinking of how to get into it. And you're like, just put yourself out there. Start emailing people saying, hey, I'm Jacob Woody, I like Johnny Cash, and see where it goes.
Yeah.
And I did. And then ever since then, the Holmes Theater stuff happened, and then my own Taste of Talent stuff, this stuff, radio, a whole bunch of stuff. So really, I appreciate it. I do.
It gives me, that's amazing, man. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
It's hard, right? You don't know where to start.
Difficult.
Where do you start?
Exactly. And that's the only thing you can really say is just put yourself out there, you know, and because that's all you got to do, it's the least you could do, I guess. But yeah, so all I can say is really just thanks,
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for not forgetting me when you're on your journey to being up on Times Square with your talk show someday.
Well,
make sure you have me on.
I don't know about. I will have you on if I get there, but I don't know if it's gonna get that far. But I guess never say never. Who knows? Whatever,
You never know. You don't know where things lead.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
You just try to not be an a-hole, not burn bridges, and do good work.
Right. Speaking of Rogue Valley, how are the bandmates doing?
Oh, they're great.
How are they all doing?
Yeah,
Good?
everyone's doing great.
Awesome. It's been a while since I've seen everyone, so I'm just... Yeah. So you were saying that they're still doing music pretty much before we started recording.
Yeah, everyone's doing music still and doing other things in life. And
love it.
We don't play a whole lot these days, but we do have a show coming up later this summer and later this fall. So we do have a few things that are kind of on the horizon, and then a new album that at some point we'll start releasing music from that.
Yes, love it.
Very excited for it.
I bet.
This has been taking a long time.
Well, yeah. Well, it hasn't nowadays. You got that big ship out there with a bunch of stuff in the Pacific. You can't get in materials over here.
Yeah, they aren't delivering me my songs.
Yeah, they need to bring in the songs too.
Bring my songs in, ship.
Yeah. Something that's been going on recently for you, which is just remarkable. You've been touring with Gordon Lightfoot.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. How is that? That's just amazing. How'd that come about?
It came about because my friend at the State Theater, who had seen me play a few times with a new Standards holiday show, and also she brought me on to do a support for an artist named Lisa Stansfield a few years ago. She just thought, maybe Chris would be a good fit for Gordon because Gordon's booker reached out and said, we need support at the state for Gordon. And then he was like, we like his music. Maybe he'd be a good fit for some of these other regional dates that we have that we need support at too. And so it kind of got put in motion that way. And I'm very grateful to Lisa and Stefan and everybody on that whole crew that kind of helped to put it together. Because you don't know how it's going to happen. It's like waiting till the end of the movie to see your song. You're like, did it really make it?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it can hinge on so much unpredictability. And I did get to do it. It was a week long. Maybe there'll be more in the future, maybe not. But regardless, it was an amazing week playing at beautiful venues around Wisconsin and out in Michigan, and then here at the State Theater. And it was what an honor to get to see his show from the side of the stage every night and get to hear him sing his classics and songs that I knew and songs I didn't know I knew, and songs I know now. But also just to see the emotional impact that his music has had over these theaters full of people, these listeners who've been listening to his music for 60 years. Wow. Yeah. It's just incredible.
It is. And that's kind of the cool thing is just his performance side. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure when we were messaging a little bit before we got to do the show, you're saying, hey, I'm watching them from the side, from backstage.
Yeah, sending that little note, yeah.
That is so cool. I mean, that's just amazing. To get the opportunity to just stay backstage watching Gordon Lightfoot.
Yeah, he's a legend, and he's a sweet guy.
Man, I bet. Yeah, at least he's not one of those problem performers.
Yeah.
They wreak havoc all the time.
Yeah,
but no,
definitely
that's
not.
Good. Yeah, no.
This is a song called Lonely Departure.
Okay.
I'm going to hook up the other different harmonica for this one.
You ever thought of put them in note order?
I do it sometimes, Jacob, and sometimes it works. Sometimes it inevitably gets messed up because I get distracted.
I had to.
This song's called Lonely Departure. It's been a lonely departure from the way that I've known. What is this new place I'm going? All alone, it makes me wonder. Who is this version of myself? How do I ask him to leave? Giving me only backwards directions, batten down the hatches, then cut them free. Let the wind and rain come down on me. Blue skies, a distant memory. So lay me down and let me be. Watch the storm roll overhead like a freight train running. I'm on the tracks, laying as low as I can. Take my money and take my pride. Can't take my soul, can't take my mind. Set me back to a simple time, watching the clouds roll. You forget that forgetting is easy. Yeah, you don't have to try. Although that one thing outstays its welcome. In the night it eats you alive. And who is this voice that I'm hearing? Yeah, it echoes across the ravine, hanging on with the tree-lined deserters and running the judicious out of town. Change the locks and switch it all around. Strip the clocks and keep the daylight out. Lay me down and let me be. Watch the storm roll overhead like a wild pack of hungry strays, rattling bones and eyes of dread. Well, take my money and take my pride, bruise my skin, blacken my eyes, and set me back to a simple time, watching the clouds roll. Yeah.
me down and let me be. Watch the storm roll overhead like a rogue wave out at sea. Pray for tomorrow and hold my breath. Well, take my fortune, take my delight. Can't take my soul, can't take my mind. Set me back to a simple time, watching the clouds roll. Where does all the time go? Watching the clouds roll, yeah. Where does all the time go?
There's gotta be a story behind that one.
Yeah, definitely.
What's the story behind that tune?
So I wrote that song during the lockdown time. And I just was, it was really stressful for me. To see all the gigs that I had just get wiped away, all the grant visits I had get wiped away, all the things closing, so much of what I do professionally based on like being around people, and all that, it was like we got to wipe it all away for 4 months, 6 months, or whatever. I mean, people said 6 weeks, but places canceled way beyond that at the beginning because they're just like, we don't know. But 6 weeks seems idiotic to just say it's gonna be that long. But so that was happening, and I was like, I was trying really hard to like keep my cool, to find something to grab onto, and music and songwriting. I was like, this is what you've always done. Why don't you just dwell in this for a little bit longer? And so that song, "Lonely Departure," it was kind of about like the experience of like floating above yourself and seeing yourself do things. And you're like, why are you doing that? You're being an idiot. Why are you doing? That's a bad choice. But I was like, I couldn't really stop it for a while. And so it's just a song about kind of where does all the time go? I don't know.
Huh. Wow.
So
we've adapted, we've learned, and now I think something that I've kind of noticed, and you probably have more than anyone I've probably interviewed, is you're starting to see a big, like a renaissance of art and music kind of start to form more, because people are starting to have a more appreciation for it, and they're loving it more and want to go out and see musicians. Are you kind of noticing that too, or it's starting to kind of be a wave of
I think people have
renaissance?
Audiences have been very appreciative, and especially like community members and neighbors and friends and fans who are like, hey, let's do a little driveway concert, let's do a little house concert, and then everyone from the neighborhood comes out and they're like, oh, I just love music being around, or people want beautiful experiences in their life, and so to be surrounded by music and art, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I do agree with you. I think that I do notice an appreciation that is there right now,
which is good. And people like us on the front line are trying to really push it more. Like, let's keep going, And so hopefully we can achieve it. But
we'll keep working.
Yeah, and some I've always noticed whenever I see you perform, which has been a multiple times, but is you strive to have a good relationship with the audience. Because it's just communication, and you can tell you're having a good time, and they give it right back to you. And I'm sure that's a amazing feeling to have that two-way street with no blockages.
Well, we're all in that room together.
Yeah, right.
It's not my job to make someone feel unwelcome and kick them out.
Yeah,
but sometimes you go to shows and it's like, does this artist want me to be here? Or like you go to a restaurant and you're like, is this server? Do they want me to be here? Do they wish that I would go away? Yeah. And I don't know, sometimes people, you never know like where people have just come from when they show up and you're hanging out with them.
Right. Yeah.
And so in a room full of people where they're hanging out and drinking their drinks, and I'm not trying to shush people all day long. I don't got the energy for that. I just try to do my music and let the art that me and my band and fellow musicians are putting out there, like, hopefully that encourages them to take pause and forget about whatever it is that's on their mind for a little while.
That is, our job is kind of a little bit of escapism, make someone's life a little bit better, forget about what's actually going on. Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's also why I think you're a great entertainer, because you understand that. It's like, I've only seen you do it in like theater settings, not like in a coffee shop kind of setting. So do you treat those audiences differently? Or is it just kind of, because when they're at a coffee shop, they're not there for you. When they're in a theater, they kind of are.
Well,
So-
yeah, in the past, I mean, I don't really play coffee shops.
Well, right.
Anymore.
Yeah, not anymore.
I mean,
Right.
you never know. You never know. But when I think about it, yes, different environments, I definitely treat them differently.
Okay.
I'm not trying to, like, you can't sing over an espresso grinder. Like, you're,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, so
Good luck.
so try not to play the song that is going to get interrupted because you know it's going to. So it's just like some of
yeah.
it is just strategic planning on what
Yeah.
you want to present. So
Sure.
like if the place is kind of noisier, the crowd seems talky. You know, I don't know if it's a good idea to play that super sensitive song that you want
Yeah.
to pour your heart into. Like, have a little fun. Try to
Right.
see where the energy is and like meet that energy.
Right.
I like playing rooms that are you know 80 to 150 people where I can really like talk with the audience and have a rapport and a little conversation, because people, they come to a show and some people are like they can't wait for it to be over, and some people are like I just want to talk to that artist. And so I like to have a little bit of interaction
Right.
when I can. And so
Yeah.
house shows are amazing for that sort of thing.
Well, yeah.
30, 40, 50 people in a backyard or in a house, and like people want to ask questions. And
Yeah.
I'm always like, hey, do you want to sing that song? They're like, can you play this? I'm like, you can. And so far, people don't really take me up on the challenge, but one of these times
Well,
they're going
it
to do
will
it.
happen.
They're going
Yes,
to do it, and then I'm going
probably.
to lose the mic, and it's going to be a
Right.
disaster.
And off it goes. Yep, no more. Oh man, and well, I hate to say, but we're almost out of time. But probably the most important question: where can people find your music? I know you're everywhere, but is there a certain place
Yeah.
you want people to go check out, or where's the best place to get Chris Koza music?
Well, if you want to buy music, buy CDs, T-shirts, or vinyl records, or other random stuff, you can get that through my website.
Okay.
That's the best place. It's chriskoza.com. I'm sure your special effects team will put the CGI website in on the bottom.
If I have time, I can figure it out.
Okay. Well, chriskoza.com, just my name, CHRISKOZA.com. Go there. If you like to do streaming services, Spotify's great. Apple Music's great. To me, there's not like a huge difference between any of them. Just if you listen to it and you build playlists, put a song on your playlist, share it with your friends, all that stuff. It kind of does make a difference in terms of how the algorithm supports and reveals artists.
Right, yeah. Well, let's get them a little taste so they can go find it. How about another tune? Anyone watching and anyone listening, if you ever get a chance to see Chris Koza, you owe it to yourself. You won't be disappointed. And I'm guessing you also have tour dates
they're
up on the website too?
Yep, for
Perfect.
sure.
Yeah, and again, Chris, it's been an honor, really.
Yeah, thank
you
a lot,
so
Jacob.
much. And yeah, you've been listening to A Taste of Talent on the road. If there's nothing else really to add, have a good one. Thanks for listening. Here's Chris Koza for one more tune.
All right, this one's called The Dark Delirious Morning.
In the dark, delirious morning, Colin's gaining confidence. In the quiet of the morning, rolling towards the light, listen to the pavement go on about the night. And it's still too early to see the sun, that old piece of fruit still hanging on some tangerine tree somewhere in some orchard on the other side of this little earth. Well, I need to make the silence stop. Yes, I need to be sure. Well, I need to make you understand that I don't know where to go, who to read or who to reference, to figure on out how just to say this. Such a short and simple sentence. La 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 la. There's a funny little thing called eloquence, and it has a way of filling empty rooms. And no matter how hard you try to hide, well, you know that the truth will turning sour, and one by one your friends are wondering just who you've become when the old you is coming back. Well, I need to make the silence stop. Yes, I need to be sure. Well, I need to make you understand that I don't know where to go, who to read or who to reference, to figure on out how just to say this. Such a short and simple sentence. La 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 la.
The following program has been brought to you by the Minnesota Arts, Cultural, and Heritage Fund. If you like what you hear and like to hear more, you can check out nijiradio.org or prx.org. I am Jacob Woody, and you've been listening to A Taste of Talent on the Road. Thank you so much for your time.